Courtney, just count to 3 for me.
1, 2, 3.
Hello, everyone. I'm Stephen Gorchov, the Associate Director of Athletics here at Hofstra University, and I'm thrilled today for our next Q&A with our Hofstra head coaches to be joined by our head field hockey coach, Courtney Veinotte. Courtney, welcome to the show. How are you?
Good, thank you. How are you?
Doing well, doing well. Let's get the normal questions we ask at the start of these going. Since March, how has your life been? Since March 13th or 14th, what day you consider the world changing for you?
Yeah, it's been good. It's been really good. I've learned how to work from home. We're recruiting in a whole new fashion and manner, and learning Zoom has been wonderful. But I've gotten a lot of family time, and it's been special in that sense too. I've been in Maine, so I've been working from Maine.
And how's life been? I will obviously get more into your current Hofstra team as we progress, but how's it been transforming your program from something you see every day for hours a day to now scheduling Zooms and one-on-one Zooms and head and coaching staff Zooms and everything about the Zooms, and then really no in-person kind of interaction with your student athletes?
Yeah, it's good. I mean, we've been hanging in there. I think every single one of us are waiting to get back on the turf and back together. But we're figuring it out, and there's a lot that we can still do. We're all together. But definitely missing the turf.
And so, Courtney, you just had your first year at Hofstra, and we'll obviously again continue to get into that as the chat progresses. It was an exciting year. Your team ended really strong, and there's a lot of excitement brewing for your program as we head into, whenever that second season occurs.
Right.
We don't mean to laugh, but it is kind of an unknown right now.
Right.
So there's certainly there's going to be more time for you to prepare for that second year. But let's get into it. You're a native of Maine. You spent really much of the first almost 90% of your life already in the state of Maine.
Yep.
What was it like growing up in Maine, and kind of give us a sense of what your life was like growing up as you started to become where field hockey became your life?
Yeah, Maine's beautiful. I was definitely an outdoors kid growing up, and always surrounded with sports and involved with sports. I have a younger brother So I mean, we were continuously playing sports or building forts in the woods. I'm really thankful and proud to be from Maine. I think it's a really hardworking state, and um, it's beautiful. It's been nice, at least. That's one perk of quarantine is I have been working from Maine, so it's been nice to be home.
Yeah, and that's kind of what everyone's feelings has been during this quarantine. Is people are seeing homes that they haven't seen at this time of year. They're seeing
Mhm.
family they haven't seen at this time of year. They're seeing parts of their life that they didn't remember at this time of year. So that's I guess that's kind of been the benefit of the quarantine. People are kind of getting reconnected with parts of their life maybe they missed.
Yeah, yeah, finding that silver lining for sure.
So let's get into it. So uh, you your high school career was one of the more successful of anybody in Maine. You were on 4 state championship teams. Can you, I guess, taking a step back from even that, at what point did you kind of realize that your love for field hockey consumed you, and that was kind of the sport that was going to be your life and be who you were going to become?
Yeah. Um, it is it's special. I'm from a high school, Skowhegan area high school, that they have a bit of a legacy going on with field hockey, and um, absolutely a family atmosphere that I've been a part of. And my mom was on coaching staff, and my high school coach Paula Dowdy, she's they've just created something very special there. And so it's a big part. I was absolutely a turf rat. Well, I guess I could call it a grass rat, field rat. Growing up, I was always on the field. I think I grew up in a wagon with some crackers, being pulled around as a young kid. So it's definitely something that's been a big part of my life. But at the same time, I was actually a really passive, quiet kid, and my mom would kind of joke like, "Oh gosh," because she played Division 1 basketball at Maine, so she was kind of like, "When is this kid going to become a little more aggressive?" And the joke of the family is that here I am, a Division 1 coach, but my mom actually had to pay me $5 for every foul I would get in basketball, trying to get me to be a little bit more aggressive. So it's kind of funny how it all turns out.
So your mom played basketball in Maine. You grew up in Maine. Obviously, Maine's deeply a part of your life.
Yep.
And then you mentioned your mom there and how she kind of became part of the field hockey aspect of it. What was that like? Obviously, whether you're at school playing field hockey or you're coming home, it,
Yeah.
there's a coach and a mom who are actually the same person.
Yeah. Actually, it's my mom was also at one point my middle school teacher, small town thing. So my mom and I actually she did a great job with making sure to separate my development in athletics and academics even, and being a mom. And I think I was very intrinsically motivated growing up. I would My mom always told me, like, I'm not going to push her into anything. I would have to ask. So I actually remember asking my mom to play AAU basketball and asking my mom to go to the turf. Like, it was always me being the initiator. And I think that's something that um, probably was a big piece of my development in being motivated on my own.
And your team was great, as we touched on, 4 state titles, and the team has a history of an unprecedented history of success in the state of Maine. I think we were talking before that we started with the chat. It's something like 16 of the last whatever state titles. I
Yeah.
mean, just unheard of success. What was it like being on that team where the expectation became a state title and not anything less than that?
Yeah. I mean, it was, I don't, it wasn't, it was pressure, but it was also a good pressure to learn at a young age. I mean, I was at the beginning end of that this long streak that they have, and this legacy of success that they definitely have. I mean, I think when I was a first year freshman, we were going for 3 in a row. So it was like 3 and 03 was our slogan, and 4 and 04. We were trying to just get that thing rolling. But I mean, when I was in 7th and 8th grade, it was like it was known like you guys are going to be the ones carrying this at a young age. So, I mean, there was it was a special thing and something that, you know, I was really proud to be a part of. And I remember in even elementary school watching playoff games, and we got some good field hockey crowds up in Maine. So I remember watching playoff games and being like, okay, if I want to play in the midfield, I have to be like Jesse Corson, or if I want to play in the midfield, I have to be like Tara Bedard, you know? So I remember building my brain into knowing I was going to be a part of that.
And during your high school career, you were a candidate for Miss Field Hockey Maine. What was it like to receive accolades like that, kind of furthering your career, helping further your career, and knowing that, you know, all the hard work you're putting in was able to be a blessing for you?
Yeah, it's I think there's, when you're from Maine, there's this little chip on your shoulder of like you're having to work a little bit harder than everybody else. And like, I mean, props to my mom. My mom drove me. There was no club opportunities for field hockey in Maine at the time. Now there's quite a few, but there was no club opportunities at the time. So my mom actually drove me every Sunday to Massachusetts to play elite hockey because I wanted to be better. And, you know, I told my mom I want to play, you know, Division I field hockey. And she's like, okay, let's do it. And so my mom was a big piece of getting me to the next competitive level in the sense of providing me opportunities. Both my parents, you know, it was a big piece of me being able to develop to play at the next level. So I think, you know, the honors that came along with it, like it was exciting, but I don't think I really understood like even my level of how good I was becoming, because I was so absorbed in the process of being good and opportunities and finding opportunities.
I guess to clarify, since many of us are not familiar with Maine, how far is Massachusetts from Maine where you had to go?
Yeah, and that's a great question, and I'll start that answer off with like I wasn't very nice about it. Like I was just in the back seat at 4:30 sleeping, but man, it was a 4.5 hour drive to practice every Sunday, and my mom would just
Wow.
do it, you know. And I just slept the whole way, probably slept the whole way back too, but
That's why parents are great, right?
yeah, that's exactly it.
So you grow up in Maine. Obviously, there's not professional teams in Maine. So your sports idols are maybe a little different than somebody growing up in Chicago or Philadelphia or New York. Growing up, who was Courtney's kind of the sports idols that maybe she looked up to and kind of saw as the legends that she kind of wanted to maybe mimic growing up?
Yeah, I actually know there were two to a T here that I really looked up to, and they were actually Skowhegan field hockey players, and they were probably about 8 years older than I. So when I'm watching their high school, you know, development, Tara Bedard was one, and Kim Leo was the other. And Kim Leo actually coaches now with Skowhegan, and she's still in the area. So, and they both went on and played at Maine, and it was always like, if you like play at Maine, and it was really, you know, full of pride being from the state and competing for the state you grew up in. And so I always like, I remember being like, oh, I want to be fast like Tara, or oh my gosh, the way Kimmy hits the ball, you know. So it's funny, like we would go up once or twice a season if we had a Saturday or Sunday off to go watch them play at the university, which is a couple hours away from my house. And I remember field hockey wise absolutely watching them. Now I was a basketball fanatic as well, with my mom being, she was coaching basketball and whatnot. So we might get into this, but Cindy Blodgett was a big idol of mine. Also someone that chose to go play at her state school and have a great career there. And then I'll give Cheryl Swoops a shout out. I had a great book about her.
Oh, Cheryl Swoops. I didn't see that one coming.
Yeah.
We off camera, we talked about Cindy Blodgett. You know, I've worked at Hofstra for a few years now, and at the start of my time at Hofstra, we were in the America East, and we would travel up to play Maine as they were a conference rival. And I mean, obviously, you touched on kind of the person from Maine going to the University of Maine, that they were looked at almost like a rock star hero, like. And
Yeah.
I remember going into the arena, and Cindy Blodgett was as big of a superstar as any person I've ever seen walk into that building, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I would go to her basketball. I mean, I was a peewee at that time, but when she was in high school, and college, she would be coaching basketball camps, and I mean, I still have signed basketballs of her somewhere in here in storage. So big fan.
So speaking of state stars that stayed home, uh, Courtney, you're one of them. You chose to go to Maine.
Yep.
What was that decision like? Is it kind of, as you just explained, your, whether it was your field hockey idols and mentors or otherwise, is it kind of you? It was kind of the same feeling.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I definitely took my visits and I explored quite a few opportunities and went through the thorough recruiting process. And ultimately, I felt the University of Maine. It was a really good fit for me. And I think having idols and kind of growing up and seeing your childhood go-tos, have successful careers there. I knew that I was going to get a good education. I knew that, my family and my friends and, the whole town of Skowhegan could support me through the, game experience and time. So yeah.
And you had a nice career at Maine, All American East, All Rookie selection as a freshman. Played in 70 games during your career. What was your career like and the experience like playing for your state institution?
Yeah, it's actually kind of, not to jump the gun here, but I played there and then I stayed there coaching for 6 years. So my time at Maine is a huge part of my development as not only a player, a coach, and a person. And my one of my most proud beings is being involved in that program. When I was a first year, I mean, I think the coach at now and currently Josette Babineau is one of my biggest mentors. And it was actually her first year coaching too. So it was her first year coaching and my first year playing there. And just playing for her 4 years and trying to build the program and kind of buy into what she was doing. And I mean, she's a fantastic coach. And where the program was that first year. And I remember being a first year, and I actually specifically remember her saying to me, like, and a couple of my teammates at the time during freshman preseason, which is a scary time in everybody's life, freshman preseason. I remember her saying, like, Court, you're a big piece of this future. You have to like keep working and working. And I remember buying into that. And it's 2020 hindsight, here we are looking back. My 4 years plus coaching there has been extremely special, and has definitely molded me into the woman I am today, for sure.
And you kind of touched on it there. Right after you played your 4 years at Maine, you went into coaching at Maine. So you spent 10 years on campus as
Yeah.
part of your life after obviously growing up in Maine. What was it like, the process of becoming a coach, knowing that it was your alma mater, the state institution, like it was all wrapped into one. Probably a lot of dreams came true, I guess, when you got that job offer.
Yeah. I knew I would always be involved in the sport. Absolutely knew that. And I knew, like, I was really, like, every summer of my college career, I was on a turf like that. I didn't really get a traditional summer job. I would be hopping around field hockey camp to field hockey camp. So I knew I was always going to be in the game. And Josette, I think my senior year, she was like, Cora, what are you thinking? What's next? And I was kind of thinking about grad school, and I actually started my grad school career at Maine and got my master's degree there. But Josette kind of was like, hey, you're a great teacher. Jump into coaching. We're like, can you stay here? What are your thoughts? And it just happened to be that summer, a position opened up, and I ended up kind of falling into that spot. And so it's funny, looking back, I wasn't fully like, oh, I want to be a Division I head coach. Like that's, it really wasn't like that. It was, I loved the game. I love the game a lot. I love teaching, and kind of youth development. And so I kind of it kind of grew into a career. Now, certainly after a couple years of being in Division I athletics and coaching, it's absolutely like fell in love with it. So it's being at Maine and coaching for your alma mater. I mean, it was really special. Some of my teammates were still on the team, and it was great. I definitely had the support. I definitely learned how to be comfortable at Maine, and I already was comfortable there, but it gave me the support to kind of ease into coaching.
And I guess we've kind of already talked about your coaching mentors. Can you touch on maybe if there's any additional coaching mentors you have, other than you kind of mentioned it, high school coach or your mom, obviously,
Yeah.
that helped you kind of grow into the coach you are?
Yeah, it's Josette is to this day still one of my biggest mentors. I mean, I feel like I should probably text her every day and say thank you. I mean, she really helped me kind of build, what I wanted to do, and kind of, guided me along the way. I mean, there's a ton of mentors. I have two mentors that were probably the first ones to hire me for a summer camp. The Nokomis principal, actually, Mary Netto, and Katie Thompson was coaching at Nokomis at the time. They would come down and they would hire me for their summer camp, and I would go down and coach. So it's kind of, how I would gain confidence with coaching in the summers of even being, a college kid. My high school coach for sure has been a huge support, for me. And my mom is a middle school teacher, and I really don't think she gets enough credit. Like, that woman knows how to teach, and she teaches through building trustworthy connections and relationships with her players. And I always saw that growing up. And I knew that if I was in teaching or coaching, that's the relationship and kind of the interactions I would want to have with my players. And so I have a lot of mentors, but definitely Josette, my high school coach, Paula, and my mom for sure.
And obviously, giving back to the community and coaching is paramount to you. It's clearly as evident by your career so far.
Yeah.
You've been involved in some club coaching. You've obviously been involved, going on a decade now, of college coaching. Can you talk about the aspect of giving back to the youth? Obviously I've known you for a few years now, and also doing research for this. I think I saw a quote about you where you mentioned the getting involved with youth from like 16 to 22 is how you really enjoy that age, because you can kind of help mold them. And can you talk about that and how important that is for you?
Yeah, it's I think, going back to kind of my experience growing up, I didn't have like a field hockey playing opportunity in the state of Maine. And I think it must have been my first or second year coaching at Maine. I actually decided to start a club. So I was like, okay, there's not a ton of opportunity in the greater, Orono Bangor area. I'm going to start a club team. So I actually did that, and it was, I mean, talk about like an experience of being able to build your own coaching philosophies at a young age, and trial and error, and what works and what doesn't. I mean, I was taking these kids in minivans. Looking back, it's probably like, probably wasn't the best idea, but I mean, I was taking these kids in minivans across the country, and so they could play and be seen. And some of those kids that were in my U14s, I've got kids playing at the Division I level, and playing all over the country. It's really, that's something that was really special to me. Giving back, I think, especially to the Maine area at the time, it meant a lot to me to do that. But that was one special piece. The other is, I've had a lot of coaching opportunities through USA Field Hockey that I'm extremely thankful for, that I've gotten at early in my career, such as the Junior Olympics, and coaching at the National Futures Tournament, and whatnot. So it's been good to build me as a coach in those opportunities, especially before being a head coach.
So let's move on. Let's move on to the Hofstra part of your life.
Yeah.
It's been a few years now. I guess the first question, When in college did you play or coach against Hofstra in
Oh,
your
yeah.
both
Yeah.
both playing and coaching?
Yeah, actually, Maine and Hofstra, we used to have a home and away rotation every year. So it was Hofstra, I remember my first time, I think it was my sophomore year, coming to Long Island and being like, where are we? Definitely wasn't in Maine anymore, but for
No,
sure.
definitely not. So let's get into it. Obviously, this year was your first year as a head coach, and it was really you guys ended really strong. You won 8 of your last 14. The 3-game winning improvement of the previous year. What did you see from your student athletes this year that kind of allowed you, as the year progressed, to really turn into something that you can see as you move on into 2021/2022, something special brewing?
Yeah, it's actually, Courtney, Kara, the coaching staff, and we talk about this all the
That's a
time.
different Courtney. You're not speaking about
Yeah,
yourself in the third person. No.
I know I did hire someone with the same name, so it's very awkward sometimes. But Deanie, we talk all the time about how special this year has really been, and I can't speak highly enough of the team that we have right now, and even the past 2 senior classes, they right off the bat jumped in with believing that we could do more here, and we spent a lot of time indulging on our culture and kind of who we want to be, what we want to do with this program. And something that's important to me is that these players know how much that I love this game and love this opportunity that I have, and understanding that they're the reason that what we are here and in these roles, right? So it's a big working on our culture and kind of the trust with this program. It's been a really special part of this year, and I think they started to see the direct impact of the end of the season and the wins and kind of coming together. I mean, I'm almost speechless about it because it was really, really special this past year.
Your first win. Let's see what you remember. I'm sure you remember the opponent.
Sacred Art, yes, yes.
The final score.
4-1.
I think it was 3-1, wasn't
Oh,
it?
was it?
Yeah.
Maybe.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to throw you under the bus there.
No,
Do you remember the goal scorers or anything that happened on the day?
Um, it's funny. I actually I definitely the goal scorers. I think they were corner executions if I was right with that, but I don't. I'm not very good at exact play by plays. I do remember, obviously immediately after the game. It's actually kind of funny, but I do remember, the players. I think they were just more relieved to get that win than excited. And I remember some of the coaches being like, I thought they were going to be more excited. I'm like, listen, we had a tough start to the season. They're excited, trust me. But it was a very special post game, and I remember specifically, Cammie Larson and Frankie O'Brien coming up and shaking my shoulders of hey, phew, it's done. We got that one for you, coach. Can we move on and get some more? I was like, I'm fine with that. Let's go. So special day for sure.
Do you remember how many text messages or phone calls you had when you got back to your phone?
Gosh. Yeah, well, I actually got to give a shout out. I actually had those text messages probably after the first 4 games when we had a rough start to the season, and it's not something that I'm timid to talk about. I mean, we started out the season 0-4, and I'll say our players, man, they every day they were trucking. They did not look back, and that was what we were trying to is it might not be just an easy first win, and that's okay. But as long as we are playing better every day, that's all I was asking for. And that's one thing I'm most proud about with the season is every day was a little bit better and every game was a little bit better. We weren't on a roller coaster by any means. It was just, a steady increase. But I'll say even those first 4 games, I was getting nonstop text messages. Coach, keep your head up. Coach, Seth Tierney, I think, called me, legitimately after my first 3 games, hang in there. It's okay, and then, yes, the amount of messages and phone calls after that first win was, times 20.
Let's touch on it. That Sacred Heart win, obviously something clicked for your team after that, as we kind of touched on. What did click other than, getting that, I hate the term, but the monkey off the back? What clicked there for your team that allowed you guys to really have some strong success as the year progressed?
Yeah, I mean, I would like to, if I knew the answer, it would, we'd be doing well, we'd be working it here. But I think, what comes first, like winning to gain confidence, or gaining confidence and then winning. It's finding that balance and really believing that you can, put something together, each as an individual player, as a coaching staff, as a whole program. And I think that every game we had, we took things away of what we were doing well, and how can we push those even further. So I think that was really special. I mean, our players, I mean, they were tough this season. They were really relentless to have some success, and to show success and growth with all the work in the past year that they had done. And they really took that upon themselves, for sure.
I've been meaning to touch on it. One area that you've really embraced is the history of Hofstra field hockey, and you've kind of made that a key part of your who you are and what you're about here at Hofstra. And obviously, this past year we had a loss of a former wonderful human being in Janelle Boileau, who also was a superstar player, but really just more so a superstar human being. And can you talk about how you embraced the alumni as they were mourning the death of a dear friend, and kind of the program saw like losing one of their own, and how you guys kind of touched on that at the stadium and other areas?
Yeah, I mean, it was very emotional. And I actually had the great pleasure of meeting Janelle multiple times, even early. I'm not going to hide this one. We were trying to get her to come to Maine. So it was getting to know Janelle. And I'll be, when I got here at Hofstra as an assistant the first 2 years, I mean, she reached out to me asking, she was in the area, if we wanted to get lunch, trying to, I mean, talk about a great human, just trying to make me as an assistant in her alma mater, comfortable. Like, incredible character. I could, right off the bat, just seeing the impact of who she was as a person in the department. I knew that we had to honor her and her friends and her team and Hofstra family. So it was, it was hard. It was emotional. And we planted a tree out by our field, and there's a really great monument there, kind of recognizing her and kind of her impact as a person in this program. And it was a really emotional day that her teammates had. And but I'll say it was great for our players to see who she was. They felt every minute of that, and they cried with the alum. It was really special. And her dad made the trip, and Alan, and it was an emotional day. But I'm so thankful that that's the smallest piece that we could do for them, and provide that day.
Absolutely a true legend of the program, and as a better person than she was even a player.
Yeah.
Stepping back into last year, I'd be remiss if I don't mention this, because I really think there's lasting effects on how this happened. Your last game of the year, November 3rd, you guys go up to Boston for the regular season finale.
Yep.
You win the game in overtime.
Yep.
Can you put into words the effect that a win over a team like Northeastern in the final game of your season, that you go into the off season with that feeling? What does that do for your program, and the players feeling that, for the next whatever 12 months, 16 months, whatever it's going to be?
Yeah, no, that shows the character and the level of work we've got going on in our team right now. Absolutely. I mean, we actually knew before that game that we would be tied for we'd be tied for fourth place of getting into the playoffs, but we knew with calculations, head to head, everything, that there was no way we were going to be able to get in. And I'll be honest, like, not saying that puts a weight on the shoulders of the players, that they know they're not getting in no matter the result of this last game, but it almost, like, looking back, it almost speaks more volumes of that they did not care. They wanted to win, and they wanted to show that they could win. And I mean, walking off that field, I was unbelievably proud of that game. And I mean, that was the best hockey we were playing. And the fact that, the last game, and hopping on the bus, like, it was really special. And it set the tone for the off season. I mean, I know this spring season was cut short, but we still got about 5 to 6 weeks to work together. And right on return, when that second semester started, they were already talking about that, like that win against Northeastern, so it was really special. I know that I know they're going to remember that win for the rest of their lives, as am I. I mean, the feeling of that overtime goal, it was significant.
Yeah, you said it, and I kind of alluded to it. It really set the tone for whether it was the off season or the next season. They're all in one. It set the tone for everything, didn't it?
Yeah. Oh yeah. And I mean, I think it when looking at this season and kind of dealing with the hardship of, it's emotional. They've worked very hard to, and excitingly so, to play this season. Like, they are foaming at the mouth to play again. And I mean, that's what I want as a coach. Like, you want to have to keep people off the turf right after practice. And they've got that mindset right now that they want to grow. And I love that. But it does put a little bit of a, when are we playing next?
You've touched on this earlier a little bit, and I was asking, you have some experience with USA field hockey. What has that done in your development as a coach, and how beneficial has being part of that helped you become the coach you are today?
Yeah, I mean, USA Field Hockey's doing a lot right now for actually coach mentorship and developing young coaches in their pipeline. And I've been around, thankfully, and excitingly, around USA Field Hockey for a bit now. Whether it's their coaching clinics, their forums, in the pipeline of coaching development with national futures tournaments, or junior Olympics, I've kind of gotten the opportunity to at least listen, learn, and engage with them yearly. So it's been really it's been nice in the sense of, I mean, I actually just started presenting for them. So I'm a level 1 kind of presenter for we're trying to provide opportunities for Long Island and high school coaches to kind of to build that connection. So right before COVID kind of hit here, I had a coaches clinic. I think it was beginning of March, right before March got a little hairy. So it's been special being with USA Field. Like, they're doing a really good job trying to build coaches and kind of give coaching opportunities.
So you mentioned kind of people like, Seth Kearney earlier, and if you work at Hofstra, you kind of know the PFC coaches kind of think of themselves as a little different breed. How has that group helped you mold you into part of the Hofstra family, as we like to call it? Whether it's Richie Nuttall, Simon Ridioff, and the rest of the crew in the PFC. As a former member of the PFC, I know how special it is over there, and kind of talk through that a little bit.
Yeah, I'm so thankful every day for the support and the small chats, the large chats, every single coach in that hallway. It's a really special place to work. And between Simon coming in the office and chatting about recruiting, or Emily has been a huge resource for me. I mean, she called me this morning to see how I was doing. I mean, it's been Richie, like, you can't even speak highly enough of Richie. It's just, they're all wonderful people. And on top of that, I mean, they're all great coaches. They all have fantastic success at Hofstra. I mean, it's motivating to work with them every day. And I mean, when it's an easy recruiting, kind of chat when I am recruiting is, you know, Simon going on his fourth, trying to, I mean, not this year, unfortunately, trying to get that fourth consecutive CAA championship. And it's in Emily and her success. It's really, it shows what you can do here, and that's win. I know we can win in this program, and it's just getting to that point. But the mentorship has been incredible. And I mean, I actually say all the time, I'm like, man, I like miss my office, and I like miss, and it's not just because I want to sit at my desk. I'll tell you that. I miss the people, and the people that we get to joke with every day. And you know, we'll be back together soon. It just might be with some masks.
And they both think they're the funniest people alive, but who's funnier, Simon or Richie?
Oh man, I wish I could see who was watching. I would choose that person. Ooh, I think it depends on the day and the time. I think Richie's more funny in the morning because he's more, you know, and I think Simon's got the afternoon funny shift going on. See what I did there, Stephen? Make sure.
Yeah, that was a cop out, but we'll so I'm not even gonna ask you who the funniest person on your team is or anything like that, because you'll just say, oh, they're all hilarious, they're all great field hockey players.
Yeah, Frankie O'Brien. I think she takes the funny teammate there.
That's because she's from Pennsylvania, and everybody from Pennsylvania is great. So
yeah, that too.
So Courtney, it's been a great 45 minutes so far chatting. I have a few more fun questions to ask you. Let's get into it. You know, in my research for this, and you mentioned it earlier, your coffee with the custodians. But how does Courtney Veinotte like her coffee?
Oh, just black. I drink way too much coffee to put any sugar or creamer in there. It's probably a problem, but just a black cup of coffee.
Oh, terrible.
I know.
Obviously, being from Maine, as we mentioned, there's not pro sports in Maine. But did you have favorite pro teams growing up that maybe from a different area of the country?
Yeah, well, you know, I have a hard time probably saying this to, you know, the New York area, but I was, you know, a Celtics, Patriots, Red Sox family household growing up. So
To be expected, I guess.
yeah, so I did
New
follow.
England.
Yeah.
And I guess in that same vein, professional athlete wise, did you have professional athletes you kind of who were your idols growing up, in addition to the ones we've kind of discussed earlier?
Yeah, I mean, probably. I always, you know, I am a strong women's supporter. I always liked following the Williams sisters in tennis and their career. You know, Cindy Blodgett when she played in the WNBA, you know, following her. But I don't want to say Tom Brady because, you know, with him moving and not in with New England, and it kind of, you know, both fan bases are a little hurt if I say Tom Brady. But
Courtney, it's been a great chat. We thank you for your time tonight. Yes. We wish you good luck when the 2020 or whatever it's going to be season happens. Yes. We love what you're doing with the program, and we can't wait to see the next year and the development of the program and take another step forward.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you for having me. I mean, I'm so thankful every day, you know, to be at the Pride and also with this team. It's a Hofstra Pride's a really special place.
It certainly is, Courtney, and we thank you for your time tonight, and we'll talk again soon.
Awesome. Thanks, Stephen.
Thanks, Courtney.